Can you hear me, JP?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. You can't hear me? You are muted now. Okay, let's start this again. Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen. Holy fuck, what an opening week one it was. Welcome to another episode of the All Pro JAFFOs, bringing you the highly elevated sports talk for the highly elevated sports.
Hey, yo.
And you know he's probably going to be a little bit late, but the 610 Beast from the Southeast Coast. Yeah. And joining us from the Mizzle and Dub Show and the other co-host on the Ring Psychology Podcast 2.0, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show, Mr. Dub Alvarez. What's going on, Deb?
How goes it, good sir?
So, well, is it? I'm wondering if it's a little delayed, or if you can hear me at all.
It probably is.
So,
No,
okay.
I can know how technology gets sometimes.
Okay. Cleo Fitzjones. Yes, appreciate that. That's good. Good way to start it off right there. Ladies and gentlemen, week one. Wow, where do we even begin? Seriously, where the fuck did we even begin? Because this week, week one, proved a few things. One, it proved that regardless of how much we think we know the quote unquote NFL script, we don't know a goddamn thing. Two, football is back and probably at its most exciting as it's been, because this week raised a lot of questions. It suddenly answered a lot of questions, and it definitely pissed off a few people. I mean, I guess we got to talk about elephant in the room. It's on the thumbnail as you see the live and everything else like that. The hopes and dreams of the Super Bowl run by the fabled New York Jets. The hopes were over and dashed before they even started, really. Well, it did start. It just took 4 plays for it to be absolutely derailed and thrown off the hinges. Now, Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays into the game, um, tore his Achilles. Now, I think a lot of it has to do with the piss poor performance that was the left tackle, um, Dwayne Brown. I'll call him out. I was watching the film. Everybody else saw the fucking film too. Everybody can agree with me. First 4 plays of the game, Rodgers was under pressure all 4 times. He was hit, he was rushed, he was pressured, and then finally fourth play goes down, and so does Rodgers. He gets hit, looks a little ginger getting up. He looks to the sidelines. He shakes his head no, and then sits back down. Now, at this point, when Aaron Rodgers sits down, you could hear the variable pin drop. Everyone in that stadium went from we are excited to watch this to we are definitely the most cursed team in the National Football. So now
It basically became here we go again.
here and saw the fans, flipping the bird. You saw that on the Manning cast and everything like that was just. I thought that was great content, great TV. What the day in the life of a New York Jets fan really is. That was the epitome of everything in that one picture. But in spite of all of that, the Jets still figured out somehow, some way to pull off the victory. Now, one,
Well, it does
I
help
think
that you
we
have a
could.
pretty good defense, and the defense that was pretty good last year got better this year.
I mean, that yes, they do have a great defense, but it also helped
And that
that
certainly helped.
Josh Allen. They did, and Josh Allen played abysmal. This is probably the worst game that I've ever seen Josh Allen play. I don't know the reasonings behind it. Quite frankly, it really doesn't matter what
He
the
played as
reasonings
poor of a
behind
game
it
as you
were.
could possibly play.
And it's not even close. It was just that type of game. Like honestly, the floodgates were open. The energy of the crowd was already completely sucked out, and you couldn't capitalize on it. Now, maybe it was the aura of being in New York during time at 9/11, remembering everything, the entrance that Aaron Rodgers had with the American flag, with the smoke and the pyro and all this other kind, the theatrics of the entire thing, just to get the guy that you have been waiting all off season for, all this hype for, all this you know holy shit, we're going to win the Super Bowl style talk, to now Rob Schneider in the water boy. Oh no, we suck again. Just it's back to that point now. Now and the Jets by far, um, they won in spite of Zach Wilson. It almost seemed like Zach Wilson was doing everything that he possibly could to lose the game. Um, Bryce Hall had a hell of a performance. Um, I was looking at him going, he could be the guy, and then they brought in Dalvin Cook, and I was thinking, shit, now you got 2 guys here in
Well,
Dalvin Cook, who was proven in
I mean,
Minnesota,
if you want to look at
I
the numbers, he
believe.
was 14 of 21 for week.
One more time. He's a little delayed, everybody, so that's why you're going to see.
No,
I
I
don't know
was
why he's
saying,
delayed.
just looking at, yeah, technology is not being kind to us tonight, but I was saying that Zach Wilson was 14 of 21, 4 and 40. he looked timid. He looked like he was scared to just let it fly. Benefit from the returning Brees Hall. Brees Hall was outstanding last night. Definitely didn't look like he had tore his ACL from a season ago. And again, who knows what happens if he does not get clearly in the thick of the wild card race. And unfortunately, injuries just derailed them. And then last night, Brees Hall averaging almost 13 yards a pop. He averaged 12 and a half on his 10 carries, ran for $127. But without a sense, without Jordan Whitehead getting 3 gifts from Josh Allen, who knows what happens?
$250,000
Because
incentive
as
for
you
that
said,
too.
just probably the whole entire the whole entire state of New York probably just, unless you're a Giants fan, just went to a big sigh of relief and went into morning pains and be like, you know what? Here we go. To Chad Pennington hurting his shoulder in 2003. It's like we can't have good things. We were 8-2 in Brett Favre's only season, only win one more game after that. But yet, the defense finds a way to only hold the Bills to 3 points in the second half. And I don't want to play devil's advocate. And even though Gibson's punt return was spectacular, the Jets got away with a leg whip. They did get away with one. And again,
And they got
I'm not
away
throwing
with
shade on
a
Jets
fucking
fans.
punter with
It was
a
a fantastic game. It was the night football game since it moved to ESPN. Think about that. ESPN has had Monday Night Football since 2000, and their highest rated game was when Brett Favre returned to Green Bay for the first time as of until last night's game. Now, given the pomp and circumstance and the tragedy and the celebration that was 9/11, Rodgers knowing all that, Rodgers gets hurt, tears Achilles out for the season, and then you're like, okay, is this going to be a blowout or
well, it was definitely turning into something that
will
from from my point of view watching the game, it got
somehow the football gods smile on the Jets? I'm sure who might be joining us within the next.
and it's 610 beast from the
And here
southeast.
comes the
Hey,
Buccaneers
can you hear me?
fan.
Okay. Maybe this will change it. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Is there any sort of delay?
Wow, what's going on, guys? What technology issues
Well, his
you guys
mic
are
is
having
muted.
that I can fix? I mean, that's my job. So what problems are you guys having?
Hold on. I think it actually might have been. So when me and Deb were just talking,
Technology
it was on a.
sucks right now. I agree.
Well, okay, I think it just got fixed because as soon as Kay just came in, all of a sudden there was like at least a 7-second delay on me talking and
That
Dub
seems
hearing what I was saying.
to be the case, but kudos.
You think it's still kind of a? Do you hear it? Do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, Dub's frozen, man.
Dub's,
I see the
Dub, do
layers.
me,
I see us all buffering from time to time.
Yeah.
Dub, do me a quick favor because I think he is buffering still. Completely sign out of it and come back in, and then see if that helps at all. Sometimes it does. See if that works. Yeah, because he's not going to hear it until probably a few seconds later.
So
Now
y'all haven't started the show?
Say what?
Y'all haven't started the show?
No, we have. We're live. We're still going. We've been talking. No, right now we're talking about the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, how quickly 4 plays in, the whole pomp and circumstance and the theatrics and stuff like that at the beginning of the game, just for four plays in, for the life to get sucked out of the stadium, and they still win. At the end of the day, as quickly as the life was taken out, the energy of the crowd at that punt return was definitely something to behold. But he kind of left off when during that punt return, one, the Jets did get away with a tripping call that should have been called, and two, I'm sure everybody and their mama saw the punter's defensive effort for that whole thing, but a little bit of jump out of the way and patty cake is never a solution. But we're on that fact going. There's the term going around. They won the battle, but it seems like they lost the war. Because would you expect Zach Wilson to do anything good with this team as a starting quarterback for the Jets?
Yeah, I would. Because it's a different team. You have more pieces. You have guys that want to be there. You have one guy retired that was there last season. He retired at the beginning of this season. So it makes perfect sense why Zach Wilson didn't have the fucking the best situation last season. For the simple fact of you start factoring in a bunch of crap like Corey Davis not really wanting to be there. Like you can see and say all that crap all you want to. Corey Davis didn't want to be there last season. That's simple and plain what the matter was. He didn't want to be there. So the fact that that's the case, now you got guys that want to be there. You got Alan Lazard. You got Breece Hall that's playing with a chip on his shoulder. You got Dalvin Cook with the same type of energy. Yeah, it makes sense. Zach Wilson's going to take these guys to the playoffs. Maybe a wild card, but they're going to make it. So I don't seriously think, I don't seriously think they're going to make it. People have faith in him, and the fact that he had, you got to remember, Zach Wilson got drafted second overall with no teach. He had no one to teach him how to be an NFL quarterback. So what do you expect a guy with no tutelage, no training, the coaches ain't worth a damn, there is no leadership in the room. You got to come in and be the leader, and you out here having sex with your mom's best friends. Like, your mindset ain't in the right place. Your team's mindset not in the right place. So that's a recipe for disaster. Coach Sulla can do whatever. He can try all he want. But if you got all these young minds that's not buying in, they're going to get their ass whooped. Exactly what they did. They had a destruction last season. Out of 6 games, they lost 6 straight. That's what happened. Because they had a bunch of young guys. They had no leadership in the room. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing. Randall Cobb is not going to let that shit drop off. Because Randall Cobb was there the whole time Rodgers in that ring. He was rookie, but he won that shit. So he knows what it takes to become a NFL champion. Granted, it was over 10 years ago, but that's what the case is.
I mean, but again, it still turns into a situation where, and the news is all the way around, that the Jets right now are
Kay,
actively...
let me ask you this. Do you think the way the Jets played last night, winning that type of play, that they have to play like that to get to the playoffs?
All right, so I'm going to be honest with you. I got like 65% of what you said, but I kind of got the gist of what you're asking. So, yes, I do believe they can, just for the simple fact of everybody's going to rally around the fact that Aaron got hurt. Yeah, no, I got what you meant. That's why I said I got the gist of what you're asking. So, yeah, I think everybody's going to rally around the fact that Aaron got hurt. Aaron was supposed to be their saving grace in New Jersey. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knew it. Like, most of sports media had a whole – they all felt the same way. You know what I mean? Like, everybody pretty much felt the same way. I mean, you can even include us to a certain extent because, I mean, we're sports media as well. But, I mean, I still think that they were going to choke that shit off at the end of the day because Aaron is going to always be Aaron. So, yeah, I mean, and if you really look back, like if you watch, not you guys, but if the guys that frequent this show and then frequent another show like Pat McAfee, Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee like every week for a good, like all last season and then the off season. Aaron Rodgers, when he came out of the darkness, before he went in and after he came out, he pretty much let him know, I have not started my offseason workouts. I have not started anything. I haven't done anything. So that's a full tribute of why the fuck he's hurt right now. You're geriatric as shit at quarterback, and you're not in NFL shape. Like, bro, you're gonna get hurt. Like, Tom ain't do no dumbass shit like that. Tom Brady, real deal, in shape. He probably still in shape right now. Tom was throwing on the beach with all of his receivers through all of the decades that he won fucking Super Bowls. Like, he had everybody. It was a whole little, it was a fucking Top Gun fucking scene. Like,
yeah, no, it was. He's been coaching Shedeur Sanders and everything like that too.
Which is why I say Jerry Rice could probably give me 60 yards right now at his old age. He can run me about 3 quick slants and get me 4 catches at least a game. Because he's still in shape as we speak right now.
I'm so glad you brought that up. All right, so Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson has a show where they recap every week in the NFL. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah, but Dub has been on a delay this whole time we've been here.
It's always his internet that slows us down. You know, it be me sometimes, but you know, that's what happens when you live so far.
Hopping in from work.
Yeah, so he just got it. Like, yeah, he's at least on like a 6 or 7 second delay.
And
yeah, so
that's, what happens when that's that Vegas internet.
I was just gonna say that right now. Hey, but
McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Damn, almost lost my point. So pretty much.
I give up.
Yeah, no, I'm being honest. I lost my point.
I was making. We were talking about the Jet. Dub brought up the fact that Jerry Rice can.
Oh, that's what it was. So Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp has a show where they recap each NFL week. So on the first week of that show, Ocho Cinco like, yeah, the way the NFL's played today, you know, they don't touch people, they don't do this, they don't do that. Man, I can go out there right now and get 1,400 yards. Shannon Sharp almost cussed. Shannon Sharp had to hold himself. He's like, man, what the like? You ain't gonna go out there and get 1,400 yards, bro. Oh, that was.
They've been watching the same thing because they were saying the same thing Matchstick was talking about with the diets and everything. That shit was funny.
Right. So my question to y'all is, who do you guys think that are retired players, since Doug brought it up, who do you guys think that are retired NFL guys, receivers, I'll say receivers to make it easier, who are some retired receivers that may not be in the Hall of Fame or could be, that can come in today's game and play with? And
are we talking like...
If I had one, the only one that I can think of right now, because he stays in so much shape, is Terrell Owens. I think he can go out there and at least get you about 75, 80 yards. Because he stays in.
I was gonna say, are you talking about like in their prime or talking about like right now?
Well, obviously, I don't mean in their prime. The whole question was phrased is that they're retired. They're not in the game anymore.
I was like, prime? Shit.
I mean, in their prime,
Terrell Owens is good.
Like, a lot of these guys would break the 2,000 barrier. Like, Jared would break it. T.O. would break it. Randy Moss would shatter that some bitch. Like, people forget how fast Randy was. Like, a lot of these guys would shatter that shit. I don't mean their prime, I mean like right now where they currently stand. You know what I mean? Randy with gray on his head. Jerry Rice eating chicken on TV. I ain't never laying y'all Niners down that shit. Y'all got Jerry Rice fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like the person I think that could come in the league.
I can't even defend it.
The person I think that could come in the league right now, Mizzle said, well, he started off with T.O. I think Randy Moss. I honestly think Chad could come in the league too. Both of those guys. I think
Chad stays in shape. Yeah, Chad stays in shape. I agree with that one too. Chad stays in real good shape. He plays soccer and all that stuff, so I agree to that one too.
I mean, that's kind of the only ones that I could think. You think Fitz?
Are you talking about Larry Fitzgerald?
Larry Fitzgerald, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
dog,
good one. That's a good one.
I was confused
ain't
because
nothing
I thought you were talking about Ryan
Mr.
Fitzpatrick.
Consistent.
Oh no, not Ryan Fitz. We're talking receivers. The only one I call Fitz or Fitzy is Larry Fitzgerald.
You're literally the only person I've ever heard say that shit for him.
It's fine. I'll be the only person who ever says it. I don't care. That's how I refer to it.
But yeah, Mr. Consistent is right, Mizzle. That's exactly what he is. Honestly, Mike is gonna take that from him. He has to do it this year though. Like this, he gets 1,000 this year. He's Mr. Consistent for the NFL now.
I agree. No disagreement on my part.
Everybody else at this point is like too old. Like, who we've mentioned is kind of like the only ones that really could. Everyone else is kind of beyond that age.
60. Jerry pushed.
Well, 60. I understand. Yeah, but Jerry's also in ridiculous shape. You know, Jerry's all.
Uniform looked mighty big on him.
Now I didn't say he was in football shape. All right, he's in runner golf shape right now is what he is.
That ain't good shape. That's damn near Sebastian Jankowski. Because Michael Jordan let know, like, granted, Jordan was one of the best athletes to ever grace anything, and that man been playing golf and smoking cigars for the longest time. So he ain't got to do too much shit. He got a whole hand of fucking tequila and cognac in his fucking cup.
Oh,
like Aaron Rodgers said, a couple fingers. He got a whole goddamn hand in that motherfucker.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's out there having a good old fucking time. He does not give a damn. But like,
great life right now.
So, yeah. So, I mean, kind of piggybacking on, is that basically saying at this point that, because I see this argument all the time. I just saw it on Undisputed not too long ago. They're over here talking about which one is the hardest position. Is it, corner, or is it, wide receiver? In this day and age, I'm like, I feel like it's way easy. Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay.
And it's no delay either. Perfect.
I decided to go the Mizzle route and hop on the phone.
Perfect. You're smooth now, guy.
I know how you feel, man. I didn't say so.
We can see the gleam on the shaven head.
Hey, the only thing he needs is to go shine up with some turtle wax and he all good.
you just
the little buffer. Hey, no, I was keeping it very classy, San Diego.
No. Okay, let me tell you the story real quick. This is how turtle wax came about. Okay. So
no, there's a story. There's a story behind turtle wax.
Yes, there is. Okay, so Mizzle's other Mizzle's other nickname is the second greatest asshole in the world, because number one is his dad, my adopted dad, and his little big brother. We call the younger brother our little big brother. So of course, me and him are big fans of the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie. So of course, in the scene where Casey Jones is massaging April, Michelangelo comes in and grabs a ball of turtle wax. So ever since we watched that particular scene, both of them be like, "Don't make me start with turtle wax." And I'm like, "Screw you and screw you. I love you, but damn it, F you right now." So that's how turtle wax came into play with the shiny ass dome on my head.
Yo, that's crazy. I didn't even know my shit was unmuted at the time when I started yelling. But that's hilarious. I got every one of them 90s Ninja Turtle movies. I had the toys, the everything. I'm a huge fan, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yo, hilarious.
So damn it, Ninja kicked the damn rabbit.
So would you So would you be upset if I started calling you Turtle from now on? Would that?
I mean, heck, I got many.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm just
nicknames,
asking.
And then Country K goes and steals. Country K steals one of my words because I use the word gleam a lot, mainly because of the whole the Marty Schottenheimer snippet. There's a gleam, man. There's a gleam. Let's get the gleam. Because I mean, you got the Cleveland Browns talking about what in the hell is he talking about?
When he said that, I saw the NFL films. I was like, what kind of speech are you trying to give, Coach? What kind of? There's a gleam, man.
There's a gleam.
You show me, Coach. You show me where that fucking gleam is, because holy shit, we're on the fucking gridiron. Ain't nothing gleamy about this. Let's go get it. All right, still don't know where the fuck it is.
Well, on that particular January, the logo of the Broncos found the gleam and went 98 yards and forced overtime. Which, for those that don't know, Mizzle calls John Elway the mascot and logo of the Denver Broncos.
Makes sense.
If he smiles, he looks just like it. And even the coach they had was 1B. What was it?
Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph.
Yeah. He smiled. He the logo too.
Makes sense. I'll allow it.
In case.
If he smiles, he looks just like the logo. Man. That's got to be that AFC West rivalry hatred right there. That's what that's got to be.
Oh, that's.
I mean, sometimes a spade because spade can be a spade, a hair can be a hair, and a goddamn mane will always be a mane, man.
And then there's people like LeBron James that just needs to go bald.
Yeah, he's nothing like that.
I've been telling him for like 2 years. LeBron James does not know how to say the word family. I swear to you. Go back to all this shit. LeBron James does. Look, I've been telling you for 2 years that LeBron James does not know how to say family. I've been telling you that. So if you have not been listening, that's on you. LeBron James says family. You have to listen to him the way he enunciates family. It's the funniest shit in the world. Go back to when he opened his school.
I gotta pay attention now.
I'm always gonna hear it now. I'm always gonna hear it now.
I can't hear it.
Just go to the opening of when he opened school. He says family like 75 times. Oh, by the third time you're gonna be in tears. I promise you, because you're gonna remember this moment. You like, he does not know how to say family. It's family.
Is it worse?
And I'm from the country, so shit. If I can say family, what the fuck's your issue?
Is it worse than Dominic Toretto from Fast and Furious? Is it worse than that?
Oh my God! Yes.
At least he can enunciate.
Yes, it is. Yes.
He's over here sounding like Lilo and Stitch. Like, this is my family.
It's family.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
But yeah, I'm telling you, LeBron James does not know how to say family.
That's amazing.
And I'm gonna need to look at those videos.
But before we had all this technical difficulties, I was trying to give you props on a good sport weekend for you. Your Hurricanes upset the Aggies.
Thank you for beating the Aggies, by the way, Jeff.
Yes, do.
There we go. Thank you for beating the Aggies, Jeff. That was a very as a Texas Longhorns fan, that was just like the icing, the cherry on top of what was a great weekend for me. To be a fan of football was awesome. I won both my fantasy leagues. Texas beat Alabama. Fucking 49ers kicked the shit out of who do we play again? Pittsburgh? Yeah, those guys. It was a great weekend for me.
Bevo.
Can we Mizzle? I'll speak to you directly because you're a Raider fan, so we know how they're rocking on Sunday. You know what I mean? I'll speak to you. Is it okay if I bring a cloud to Josh's little party, his little picnic? Is it okay? I ask you.
Okay,
No,
I'll dance in the rain.
You're a little muted, so I couldn't really hear you. Okay.
Bring it on. Get on.
All right, so look. Here it is. Texas beating Alabama. Hey. You know I don't give you credit. Hey. Congratulations.
Evo.
Especially them racist pieces of shit talking about y'all guys, y'all receivers and shit. Hey, whoop their ass each time. I am proud of you guys. All right, so now that's over for Saturday. Sunday, y'all played one of the worst teams in the fucking league, dude.
Pittsburgh's one of the worst teams in the league?
Yes, they are right now. They just showed it. Right now, as it stands, it's the Giants, the Texans, whatever the fuck they got going in the rest of the AFC South, outside of fucking Jacksonville, then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're the sixth worst team in the league right now. They're pretty bad. I'll beat their ass though. But it does not prove anything for Brandon Ayuk.
Breaks off of him.
It don't
I didn't
prove
see
shit
that
for
one
Brandon
coming.
Ayuk. No, because he messaged me on Sunday asking me that. And I didn't see the game, so I had to check it out. He got 2 tutties on Patrick Peterson.
Wow.
Patrick Peterson's another geriatric fuck that need to go sit his ass down.
The first one, he abused him.
Yeah, the first one was.
Hey, look. Now this is my analogy because I've been thinking about this since Sunday, right? Granted, I wasn't gonna go this far in. I'm gonna be honest with you. Dub was my gasoline because he hit me too. Dub and Mizzle both hit me about the Buck game, but Dub was the one that was like, I can't wait to hear what you got to say on Tuesday, and I'm like, I wasn't gonna say shit, but here I the fuck go. All right, so here's the thing. Here's my analogy for Ayuk for this Sunday. You guys are married. I'm not. So I feel like I'm the closest guy to single life and what single life got during that time period. You know what I mean? So me personally, I bought a shirt from Ross, DD's, Marshall's, and all of those bargain situations, even the thrift store, and got premarital sex out of it. So look, Brandon Ayuk getting one game off against old geriatric guy, I'm not really giving him credit for that shit. Like, that's my analogy to the situation. A $5 shirt works sometimes. Like, that's kind of what my point was.
He was just more than $5. So you got to upgrade it, especially with the run blocking and stuff that Ayuk was doing that day.
Oh no!
I'm
you got
just
a Hall
saying.
of Fame tight end run blocking only. That's the only reason why he's a $5 shirt. Until George Kittle fucking goes out and damn near break another record. Yeah, now you can get. I mean, unless Brandon Ayuk go out there and try to almost break a record, I'm not giving credit because you got George Kittle only blocking right now, and he is.
That's what I was just saying. Like the whole game, I was watching the whole game. Ayuk, the run blocking ability for Ayuk. He's one of the better he's one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the whole league.
You said it right the first time. Better, not better. Better.
One of the best. I would say.
I got 10 guys.
One of the best, I would say. If you list me, I was gonna say who's a better. Name me your 10 not running backs, wide receivers who are better run blockers.
Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, goddamn AJ Brown, what's my boy name in goddamn Indianapolis? Michael Pittman Jr., fucking George Pickens, that's it. The boy for the Ray. Oh, Mac Hollins. Oh my God, Mac Hollins blocking his ass off. Hey, yo, even goddamn, what's the name block better than him? My boy, Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow will catch your ass if you ain't paying attention. That's 2 Raiders, and they graced us a Super Bowl, so give them up. Hey, look.
That's what I was giving you some credit. God damn it!
So think about it. I'm at 8. I only got 2 more guys to pick. 2. Only got 2 more guys. I'm at 8, and I named them motherfuckers off in 30 seconds.
You're just naming like random household names.
I'll give you Devontae Smith out of Philadelphia. He could block as well too.
And he's frail. I didn't even name.
Yeah, he's small.
I didn't name Justin Jefferson. I didn't name nobody out of Cincinnati. Nobody out of Cincinnati. I didn't. They got a whole wide receiving core. Nobody out of Baltimore. You see what I'm saying? I didn't name the household names. I named guys that really be out there blocking. I didn't name nobody in San Diego.
I would say Mike Evans, I can agree with because I've seen Mike Evans and how he is, and then I mean just the sheer size of him, you know, out there against any corner, it's going to be dominant. I don't think I've seen enough of AJ Brown to consider him anything really of, you know, the run blocking style of wide receiver. And then what else did you say?
He was in Tennessee with Derrick Henry when he got 2,000 yards.
Man, I've seen that he's stiff arm. He was stiff arming the DBs that he was supposed to be blocking. That's what was going on when you had Derrick Henry back in that play. Nickels, dimes, pennies doesn't fucking matter. The fact is, he's stiff arming everybody.
No, it matters, fam. If you're
Derrick Henry was unstoppable no matter what you did at that point.
Bro, no, he had to have guys blocking for him.
Stephon Diggs, he has his moments, but he's like on and off. He takes plays off, I think.
You forgot he was in the Vikings when that boy Dalvin went crazy. He was there.
Yeah, he was there. That doesn't mean he was the reason for it.
Who else was blocking? Who else was blocking?
The offensive line? What? We're going to complete. Okay, so the only okay, guys, you heard it here. The only reason.
Yeah, the only reason why he got the receiver. I knew you was going there. No, guy, don't try that. Obviously, the O-line had to block their guys.
Here we go.
They're not going upfield. They're not going to second level. Are they going to third level? Are you seeing the O-linemen in Minnesota going to second and third level? Like if you want to talk football,
they're supposed to.
Where?
You're supposed to have offensive linemen at some point.
No.
You have
also and doing is 2 different things. Don't do that. Come on.
So supposed to, you have 5 guys, most times 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. You mostly have either 3 down linemen or 4 down linemen, depending on what they're doing. 5 people get blitzed. All out blitz is 7, 8. That's how you outnumber them by 1 or 2. Okay. Most offensive linemen, when you are run blocking, when you're running most offensive linemen, there's at least going to be linemen.
Right, I'm glad that his internet is fucking up.
There's going to be 1 or 2 offensive linemen. There's going to be 1 or 2 offensive linemen that are going to end up breaking out into the linebacker level. And then pretty much a good majority of these running backs, if you can't win a one-on-one against the DB, what are you even doing here? So if the D-line and the linebackers are taken care of, you need to get by the DBs, and that's what they were doing. The corners on the outside, that's one thing, but if you're running north-south, you're worried about the safeties, not worried about the damn corners.
You're talking in hyperbole right now, Josh. You're talking about what people supposed to do and what they should do. Gotcha. We all know the fundamentals, but are they? That's what I've been saying the whole time. When Dalvin Cook was in Minnesota, was those O-linemen going to second and third level? Absolutely not. They were not.
If you're ranked, if you're ranked one of the top 5 offensive lines in the league at that point, and that's what they were, you can't sit here and tell me that they weren't making those moves. What they should be doing, getting to the second and third level. So you're only. That's basically under the assumption that the offensive line is only blocking the defensive lineman and nobody else.
I'm not assuming shit. I'm watching game film when they showing Dalvin Cook fucking breaking. There's no O-lineman. I'm watching game film when he's getting smacked. There's no O-lineman going to second and third level, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they're not going up.
My question is, when you seeing these running backs make those long runs, who do you see running with them most of the time? It ain't the offensive lineman, maybe a tight end or a wide receiver down the field blocking, because the O-line did their job for that running back to get through the hole to get to the second level.
Yes, but then you also have most situations. A guy, again, I hate playing it. I suck at it. But again, with the bullshit experience I had at offensive line, yeah, you're supposed to dominate the guy in front of you and then try to move up. Most of Dalvin Cook's runs, most of his runs, they're supposed to be rubbing up to the next level. They have a lot of combo.
They were zone run plays. That's the scheme. You're basically double teaming one guy until you get off to the next level.
So
you can't run a zone scheme running style offense if you're doing man-to-man blocking.
Got it. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, if you're double teaming, that means somebody's fucking rubbing off, correct? That means the tight end is rubbing with the tackle. That means there's supposed to be at least one guy, either a center or the tackle's supposed to be going up because one of them fuckers just got a hand on the guy behind him. He's combo blocking and he's supposed to go to the next level and he's not able to.
That's what I'm saying. What do you mean not able to? Again, you can't be successful in the run game, in the zone run game scheme, if the linemen aren't doing the combo blocks to move off to the next level. I used to do this shit as a tight end. What we would do, me and the tackle, what we would do on our zone running, right off the line, right off the line, hitting the D end, and where we would read, depending on where the linebacker would go, if he took the inside, I stick with the end, tackle goes to the inside. If he came to the outside, I took the linebacker, he stuck with the tackle. That's how you zone run block going into that play.
Strong side. Your strong side. So we're talking scheme, your strong side.
Strong side, weak side doesn't matter. It works the same way.
It matters, right? But they're not. Both guys aren't doing the same shit on both sides of the line. So if we're talking scheme, you're crashing to the left, right? Just say hypothetically, we're zoning left. You're crashing left. The tackle's supposed to fucking rub and go. Keep going. He's supposed to go up unless they have a fucking
depending. It's like a read option for linemen, bro. Okay, it's a read option for linemen. The zone block. Right, so this is shocking to me how you're not seeing that.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been telling you this shit. I've been specifying. We're not talking game. I've been talking about Minnesota and Minnesota alone.
But that's what I'm
making a broad point saying we're backs and O-line.
Well, what I'm trying, but Kate, what you're
generalizing things when I'm making it specific.
No, Kate, what I'm trying to.
Go ahead. I mean, you've been trying to make this point off while I'm talking. Go ahead.
I'm trying to explain to you in that scheme of offense that they had when Dalvin Cook was going off.
Explain that to me, bro. You don't have to explain that to me. That's the reason why you're getting cut off now.
You're not even knowing. What am I going to say then, Kay?
There is no reason for you to explain this to me when
What am I going to explain then? Since you know what I'm going to explain to you, what am I going to explain?
You need to explain something. Where do you feel like you need to explain something?
Because you're not getting it. You're thinking the offensive line. Oh my God!
And I'm telling you, I'm saying.
I'll wait.
Yeah. Okay. So since you want to play that, let's mute and I'll go. Because again, you are clearly not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying Minnesota, not all O-linemen. You keep making it a general point.
I'm telling you about Minnesota.
No, you're not. You're not saying what Minnesota is supposed to do. You're saying what guys are supposed to do. And what these guys are
supposed to do. God, Kay. Okay. Listen to me. Okay, listen to me here. Let's talk about just Minnesota. Listen to me here. Let's just talk about Minnesota, okay? You cannot have the year that Dalvin Cook had that year if you are going to be playing an offensive line pedestrian-style offensive play. If they are, which is what you're describing. What you're saying is they never got to the second, third levels, or they stayed at level one. What you're telling me is,
as a historian, 100% of the time, there is no running backs in the league that have had a shit O-line that they have not produced. That's what you've been sitting here saying. You're generalizing.
They had a top 5 O-line that year. Kay, what the hell? That's not even what we're talking about.
And that's only based off of his stats. It has nothing to do with what the fuck both sides. So why offensively they couldn't fucking pass the ball that well? Why would their running game
for over 3,500 yards that year? Kay, what the hell are you talking about?
3,500 yards was top yardage that year.
You are not making any sense. No. Okay, now we're talking about the Bucks. We're talking about the Vikings. I thought we were talking about the Vikings.
Yards is the lower end of what the Buckers
over
have
3,500.
That's
over 3,500. And Dalvin Cook had over 1,400 yards. So you're going to lose receiving yards.
4,000 passing yards is the average nowadays.
Oh,
it's the average. It is the average nowadays among quarterbacks in the league. Motherfuckers are averaging 4,000. What are you talking about?
There's only 5 quarterbacks maybe that average 4,000 plus yards. Kate, come on,
bro.
Stop being over dramatic with it. Relax. We're talking about I'm talking about the Minnesota Vikings at that time when Dalvin Cook went over 1,400 yards.
Right.
He had a top 5 offensive line. You cannot be a top 5 offensive line and not do what you're supposed to do. End of story. End of story.
No, it's not end of story. You damn sure could. You can have a top running back that handles his business, and that offensive line get credit for that shit. That's pretty much what the fuck happens.
You're talking the overall of how they were with pass blocking and run blocking as a whole. Okay, they were ranked in the top 5. How do you make that argument when that's what they're not talking about just running?
Easy. I easily make the argument. I've been telling you, Kirk Cousins is a fucking supersized game manager. Supersized. He's a supersized game manager. So you got a game manager. You got a game manager that's fucking averaging, barely getting fucking yards like that. That's why your number 1 guy said, "Get me the fuck out of here immediately." The same year. That's why. That is the exact reason why Stephon Diggs got up out of there, because the buddy wasn't doing shit, and the offensive line really ain't doing shit either. Dalvin has to do so much to get so motherfucking much yards. He has to do a lot. That's why he wanted out. That's why he was screaming about his money all these years.
Yep. Stephon Diggs wanted out because he wasn't patient enough. Stephon Diggs wanted out because he got tired of getting into those playoff situations where they kept losing when he felt like they should have been winning. It's the same situation as they're doing right now in Buffalo. He's the same situation in Buffalo. Yeah, it's a better situation on paper, but it's still the same result. They're getting to the playoffs and they're fucking losing.
Yeah. And then they forget about him.
But he gets to that point where he starts talking and he starts getting like, bro, hey, we should be doing this, we should be doing that, and you wonder why people are starting to kind of like, bro, you fuck out of here with that.
So, and
he had over 1,200 yards that season when Dalvin Cook went off too. He had a top 5 receiver season that year, but it was because of what happened in the playoffs and the Vikings' inability to win in the playoffs. He got frustrated and wanted to leave.
Supersized game manager.
That's why. It had nothing to do with stats. He had the fucking numbers.
Right? He had a decent line. No, he had a piss poor old line. You had a guy that was out there doing a lot.
I'm sorry, you're not gonna sell me on the piss poor offensive line when they were ranked top 5 in the league. That's just bullshit. It's just lies. It's just slander at this point. Is all it is.
Where?
It's just absolute slander. Hey, top 5 offensive line and they're piss poor. Just it's just personal opinion at that point. Just slander. It's just slander. Let's get into it.
Hey, go back and look.
I just described to you everything that happened.
Again,
so let's get.
You described to me what? Nothing. You didn't describe to me anything. You pretty much
nothing that you were willing to listen to. That's what it was. Let's get into. Okay, let's get into the games. Let's get into the games. Let's get into the. We've been talking enough about this same Minnesota Vikings team. We've been talking about a Minnesota Vikings team that lost to your Bucks team. Like, what does it matter at this point?
They won 2-9 next game.
20-17. Let's see. We're here. Your leading rusher had 39. So the defense. I mean, their defense is fucking destroying everybody. But Justin Jefferson still managed to pick up 9 receptions for 150 yards. But still losing the game 20-17. Obviously, you got Justin Jefferson sitting on the sidelines, looking all pissed off now. So it's getting to a point where the Vikings should be this perennial team that everybody on paper.
In the second half.
He was very quiet in the second half. He essentially had a but that's what I'm saying though. When you took away Justin Jefferson, it kind of folded. What the Bucks ended up doing is they adjusted very well to covering. It's like, you know what? If they're going to beat us through the air, it's not going to be through fucking Justin Jefferson. And they did a very good job at shutting Justin Jefferson down and being able to having to make him Kirk Cousins look at the other areas. Oh.
His shit was fucking up. So pretty much, you just described exactly what I said pregame. And yeah.
What were you saying, Dub?
All right. Good
Well,
talk.
one thing I was trying to say, were you trying to your point that you were trying to make? Were you trying to say make Kirk Cousins beat you? Was that what you were trying to say?
Essentially, make Kirk Cousins beat you by having to throw to somebody else. Because we had those questions going. We had those questions beforehand, going with we know what Justin Jefferson is, but is Addison going to be a good complementary piece? In the first half, yeah, he was doing pretty good. Is T.J. Hawkinson going to be worth the top tight end tier money that they ended up giving him? I didn't see too much from T.J. Hawkinson this game. Maybe he was just shut down, or maybe it just. I mean, he had a couple of looks.
Well against the Bucks.
That's also very true.
So yeah, you got to throw that in there too.
Yeah, that you mean tight ends? Yeah, your linebackers are good at covering tight ends. That's what that. But so that was taken out. But it's like you took the game out of the playmaker's hands.
Okay, what did you think was the difference in the second half? Because the Buccaneers pretty much clamped down on the Vikings offense. What do you think was the difference in the second half as to why Tampa pulled off the win, which some might consider it to be an upset, but what do you think changed in the second half for the Bucs to eventually get the win?
Was that question referred to me? Yeah, but
yeah, he was asking you.
Oh, okay, because I wasn't sure. Yeah, so I mean, just looking at it statistically, I mean, I told you I pretty much didn't get a chance to watch the game. PBS Sports was being an anus on my computer. So looking at the stats from first half to second half, it looked like Baker started commanding or understanding the offense a little bit better, understanding how to distribute the ball and get it around to the guys that need to touch it. Because he didn't have many passing yards in the first half. You know what I mean? Our run game wasn't existent. So, yeah, that pretty much what did it. I mean, also, that tremendous stiff arm that he did against who's number 7. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, Baker's energy, Baker's fire, a lot of adjustments. I honestly, I would have to see after. I won't say this game because I think we have the Bears. So
Correct.
I think we have to wait to see that we play another division opponent to actually get a real test see what's going on.
Here's my question to you about the team. You just said it right now, like the rushing game was kind of non-existent. Your leading rusher was
the first game.
Right now. That's what I'm saying. Like how many weeks goes by before you kind of start to make the decision, or maybe even think about the idea of trading for somebody?
No.
Or would you just kind of like stick it out, like what we got, what we have is what we have, and
so tell me, why would you trade for a running back?
You wouldn't have to give up much. It's not like you would have to give up like a first or anything like that.
Yeah, because we have first round talent people be asking for it. So
but
yeah,
like,
we went out there because we have shit, but at the same time, why would we go get a running back if we have no offensive line?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much.
I mean, you have been saying that, yeah. It's still.
And we have
the entire offensive. I mean, you have. What's your opinion of Wirfs?
Tristan Wirfs is a dog at right tackle. He is at left tackle right now. He played one game at left tackle. So the only thing I can go off of is, okay, you played well against the Vikings, but I don't know, bro. That's pretty much it. That's all I really got.
Need more than 1 week to figure that one out.
Well, I mean, yeah, you gotta show me on a consistent level what's going on. That's the same thing with everybody. You gotta show me on a consistent level what's going on. I mean, it's everybody.
The reason why I ask is because when Tom Brady and everything like that was there, when the run game was successful and pretty much like dominant and everything, you guys were destroying everything in your path. So when it comes to having to not have the running game, kind of drops down a little bit.
I genuinely hate when people say that. When I hear that, I hear, you guys were really destroying that team, being up 40-0. Like, what was the reason why you won the game? Like, come on. That's kind of what I hear when people talk about that. Like when you're saying, well, when one aspect of your game was playing, like your offense is really well, like when you're running the ball really well, you're able to pass the ball. Yeah, it's complementary to each other. Like, it makes sense. Every team's like that. When the Niners run well, you guys can pass the ball. When the Broncos are running well, they can pass the ball. When the Lions are running well, they can pass the ball. Everybody has that same concept. So it's like, yeah, if you don't have a run game, you're not going to be able to pass well. You got to have a decent run game. That's everybody. Same, even Kansas City.
Yeah, it opens up the play action. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, I genuinely hate when people say that. Like I said, it's not just you. All media guys say that, and it sounds like the dumbest shit to me because it's like, duh. If they're running the ball well, they obviously should pass unless the quarterback's terrible.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's where I get into those questions. Well, it's like, okay, but if it's, do you just ride with it, but at this point, if you're talking about, needing offensive linemen and everything else, like, where do you even start? You're week 1. How do you bolster the offensive line to this point? Who do you like? Do you make trades? Do you try and find some free agents? What do you do to try and?
Well, the first question I will ask: what's the season goal? So every team.
I mean, at this point,
a realistic mindset of what you're trying to do. And the reality of what Tampa's doing, we're trying to be competitive, but it don't seem like we're trying to go get a chip because we're still in the fact of buyer's remorse from when we got the first chip in 2020. Brady just retired. He's on our books. We got a whole bunch of shit on our books right now.
Yeah.
So we kind of need to write shit on out right now and see what's going on. We got 2 key players that could be re-signed, and Devin White and Mike Evans. Just a lot of key shit that needs to go on before you know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty much what's going on. And shout out to Mizzle. He said he had to go back to work. So yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much what the situation is. I mean, everything has to be balanced. And as far as the Buccaneers, like I said, I feel like playoffs is pretty much where we're trying to go. Because right now we need playoffs so everybody can believe that it was more than just Brady. Like, that's where our goal is. So in order for that to work, we need to stick to where we at right now versus trying to go out there and trade a bunch of motherfuckers and lose the camaraderie or lose a bunch of key guys in situations that they're not thinking about. Just doesn't make sense.
Would you say winning the NFC South will be considered a bonus?
Not necessarily, because I mean, if it depends if it's competitive.
Okay.
If it's competitive,
I was gonna say, because overall the NFC South as a whole is not really.
That's just opinionated.
I mean, even with the even with Kay saying that, trying to get to the playoffs to have that belief and everything else like that, you can still. Doing that by winning the division, because the division, or at least on paper, is not super strong right now. Now, again, it's only week
It's
one.
subpar best. It's subpar. True.
Right,
But, I mean,
so it's only week. But if you look on paper at the rosters of everybody on in the NFC South, you look at the Bucs roster and you go, okay, this is a better roster on paper than everybody else's in the NFC South. And it's not even a question at this point.
No, that's
so.
On paper, it's the Saints. On paper, it's the Saints, and you know that's
the Saints.
Yeah.
Really?
Out loud. I'm saying.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, if you're talking 53 to 53 on paper, the Saints have the best team in the NFC South. But with that said, however, they struggled barely beating the Titans by 1 point.
That's why I was going to ask. Can I ask based on what?
Why the Saints are the best?
Yeah, that's the thing. Based on what says the Saints are on paper better than the Bucs.
Because they have a proven fucking running back. That's first off.
Ooh,
like the way
Saints?
Well, not just that.
Yeah, and Alvin Kamara. Come on.
Is he even playing? I thought he was suspended for the
He's
first.
suspended right now.
4 games.
Okay, so we have.
He's still playing 13 games. He's still on the team, bro. He's still
okay.
On
so Alvin Kamara, they got the run game.
And the way the NFL views Michael Thomas, the way they view Chris Olave, again, I don't view them that way. I think Chris and Mike is way better.
But that's what I'm asking. Is Chris Godwin and Mike Evans a better duo than Chris Olave and Michael Thomas?
They're not going based off of their camaraderie as wide receivers. They're going based off of their individual talent. That's the reason why they.
I mean, even based on individual talent, I would choose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin over Olave and Thomas.
I mean, you've been hearing.
I out it. That's what's weird to me. Like I don't see how that's a debate. Like I really don't.
They think Michael Thomas.
First off, Michael Thomas ain't played in damn near 2 years because he's been hurt.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about?
This is the first time that Olave is actually playing with Michael Thomas, but you know what Chris Godwin and Michael Evans are, because Mike Evans stretches the field, and Chris Godwin gives you those tough yards and gives you that big clutch catch when you need it to keep a drive alive. That's why they complement each other so well. Now, if you're talking about who's the best duo in the division, I agree with the both of you. It is Godwin and it is Mike Evans, because Mike Evans has been doing it since he got into the league. And Chris Godwin, even though he was hurt the previous season, has shown that he is that dog. And like I said, when you need that tough catch, when you need those tough yards, 14 can get it for you. And plus, I've been a fan of him since college because that's just what it is.
So the Saints have the run game. Bucs have the wideout game.
They have O-line.
Quarterback now.
Their O-line.
Oh, the offensive line? Okay. Offensive line Saints. Okay. Offensive line Saints. Quarterback? Are we agreeing Carr is better than Baker? Non-biased, anything?
No. I mean, right now, it's still debatable. They both on new teams, so we really don't know what they got. And they both barely won the game. So, I mean, I really think.
So it's kind of up in the air 50-50 on the quarterback here, huh?
Yeah, right now.
So we got to draw a draw on the quarterback situation.
You can call that a push. You can call that a solid push.
Yeah.
So then,
even though Baker has a playoff win and Derek Carr doesn't.
That is true. That is very true. That is true.
As much as I feel the way I feel about Baker Mayfield, that is a fucking fact. So that's what I'm kind of saying. I'm like, well, again, I hate to say it, but if I'm going to look at it at a non-biased point,
well, I'll say this from a non-biased point. Go back to last year when Baker was off the street, comes to Inglewood against Carr, who was on the Raiders, and leads that game-winning drive to beat Carr in the Raiders last year in SoFi. And this is Baker coming off the doggone street. Now, their skill sets are different.
I don't think it's a 50-50.
Their skill sets are different. Well, I'm just saying it's a push because, like Kate said, they're on 2 new teams.
and we'll see what. Even though Carr is reunited with his first head coach because Dennis Allen was the head coach that drafted him back in 2014 when Dennis Allen coach in Oakland, so there's familiarity there.
Yeah.
And of course, Baker's still trying to prove himself. Still trying to prove the doubters wrong. Like I said, Minnesota is never an easy place to win in. It is very hard to win in that dome, and he did. I mean, obviously it was a team effort, but, kudos to him. Like I said, probably 9 wins in that division probably wins you the division. Would that be a fair assessment to say?
I think the Bucks will end up with 9 or 10 wins, but they will have won the division by their win number 6.
Okay.
They will have clinched it by 6.
I don't know because the reason why I say I don't know because every time Alvin Kamara comes back with this injury or suspension, he plays like a fucking demon. So game 5 and 6 are gonna be crazy. So I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if 9 is the correct number, but I would give it a bracket between 9 and 12. Like
9 and 12.
A low end to a high end division because it could be even
12.
more. Because the Saints, you got to really think about it. If you break down the Saints, like we're doing defense, they're decent. They had a decent defense.
But
so,
that was going to be my final question. Comparatively on the defenses, which one would you choose? Would you choose the Bucks or would you choose the Saints defense?
I would choose my Bucks defense because, again, they have a little – Marshawn Lattimore is a toddler. So that number 1 corner, I'm not rocking with a toddler number 1 corner. It's like 5'7".
They do. They got a good D-line.
So, but that's just another story. I mean, I would more than just say they got a solid defense. So it's just more the fact of the teams that they play against will be more of the, you know what I mean, more of the barometer to really of, you know what I mean, how to gauge it. Because week 1 playing the Titans, I mean, I'll say they did well against Derek because Derek was, you know what I mean, who he is, you know what I mean? So you stop Derek from not killing you. So, I mean, you kind of got to give him kudos for that.
But
Granted, Tannehill, the wide receiver, threw 3 interceptions. Y'all should have blew them the fuck out. That's
also true.
But I will say this, going back to this comparison about the Saints and the Buccaneers, this I will say. The Saints are going to miss C.J. Gardner-Johnson in that secondary. Because what he has brought to Detroit, the secondary is a lot better in Detroit. The Saints are going to miss him, and it'll be proven because week 4, okay, that's when you guys go to the Superdome to play the Saints. So that's your and by the way, that's your first division opponent also is the Saints. So we will see we will see what happens in week 4 when you guys battle in the dome. But I'm just going to say the Saints not having C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to hurt that secondary big time.
And then you had the division matchup between the Falcons and the Panthers. The Panthers, it's very obvious. It's a super young team, rookie quarterback and everything. So you kind of knew what was going to happen. Bijan Robinson showed the flashes of what he, in my opinion, he's going to be the NFC Rookie of the Year. But from what he did this past weekend, it was kind of obvious. It was kind of obvious what was going to happen between the Falcons and the Panthers. It was going to be ugly. And it was going to be reliant mostly on the run games. And the Falcons' run game was just better than the Panthers' run game at this point. So 24-10, Falcons took that. One of the surprises for me, and maybe not a surprise to other people, especially for the lovely individuals over in Cleveland, Ohio, but the Cleveland Browns dog walked, unintended, the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh.
Joe Burrow couldn't do a 3-step drop. Fuck that. I'm not going. He couldn't even do a 3-step drop.
Miles Garrett was doing crossover moves just before the play started and getting in there before Joe Burrow could even blink.
Well, because our offensive
Like-
lines. It's Cincinnati.
So how is
said
that? I know you said that, but then it brings me to the question going, you have a quarterback who now is the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. You have a generational talent at wide receiver. And you say that, Kay's even said this on the show, he thinks that Jamar Chase is going to be the guy to break Terry's records. If it's going to be anybody, it's going to be him.
With Joe Burrow. So
Really?
that's the combination. It has to be that combination. If it's not that combination, it's not going to happen.
Right. So if it's not, because again, that's a Montana to Rice situation, and so hey, again, there is very much high praise because let's be very clear. Look, Justin Jefferson, yes, he is also a generational wide receiver. I truly believe, and I've actually told this and I talked this with Caleb, the last 5 years of rookie wide receivers, the crop of wide receivers that have come out these last 5 years have been the greatest crop of wide receivers to ever come out in a 5-year span in the history of the NFL.
It's hard to argue that fact. It's hard to argue that. Correct.
The guys that have come out and have just made literally changed the game in a way now everybody, all the little kids and stuff like that, this is the group of guys that is bringing in that new generation, that's bringing in that new era of wide receiver, top tier wide receivers in the last 5 years have produced an insane, and it's not even one guy per year. We're talking 4 to 5 guys per year that come out and just dominate from day one. And Jamar Chase is one of those guys that we looked at, especially in that 5-year frame within this crop of wide receivers. The way he plays the game, the size, the strength, the speed, the hands, all the intangibles are there. But with the intelligence that he plays the game with already at such a young age is where, for at least for myself, I mean, Kay's already said it, how high a praise he had, because when you think about it, if you're going to go after the greatest of all time in those records, not only does your work ethic need to be as strong, if not stronger, which I think we can all agree Jamar Chase is. He is a workhorse. He does work. But you also need to have the intelligence, the same intelligence wavelength, if not smarter than what he was. And that's where we kind of look at it. And I look at it going, Jamar Chase's football IQ, along with his athleticism. Yes, Justin Jefferson is way fucking up there. But and let me be very clear, I am not saying that his, I'm not saying his football IQ is not an elite level, because I'm sure it is. But he hasn't had to rely on that as much, I don't think. His talent has pretty much been able to get him to a point where, he's still able to do all this, awe-inspiring shit. Now, another year, maybe 2 years down the line, that's where you're going to start to see the football IQ having to come, because by that point, by year 3, year 4, teams have already prepped for you, that already adjusted, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for you for the rest of your career. So that's where we'll see that. But Jamar Chase at this point in time has already shown the football IQ and the intangibles to make at least us believe we may be in the very minority in that decision, but he could be the guy. He's the guy that we see doing it. If it's going to be anybody, it's going to be him.
Right. I will say this off of your one point that you did make a second ago about team scheming for him. I mean, team scheme for a lot of guys. It's up to organization to bolster that whole line. They knew the reason why they lost that goddamn Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Let me
Go ahead, Doug.
Let me ask you. Let me pop.
Go ahead. Can you hear us?
I heard me ask you, and then you cut out.
No, you was getting ready to make your point. I'll let you make your point, and then I'll ask after you make your point. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. It's all good. I made a very strong one, so it's fine.
Okay, so let me bring this question to the forefront. Who do you guys think will be the next person to set and break the season touchdown receptions in the season, which Randy Moss holds record career? He did back in 2007. Obviously, Jerry Rice, who did it in fewer games in 87 with 22. Who will be the next to break, or who might be the one that comes closest to breaking that single season record by Randy Moss in 2007?
23 is tough, but it's tough, but it's really not, because if you really look at it again, especially the way the NFL is nowadays, it's a little bit more plausible to think that it could happen. But if I had to choose who would be
let me just say this: the last closest that came.
The last one, the what?
The last one that came the closest was Devontae Adams in 2020. He had 18, which, by the way, ties him for third most of all time, joining Mark Clayton with the Dolphins at 84, and joining a guy who I think should be in the Hall of Fame, one Sterling Sharp in 1994. So, I mean, that just goes to show you being tied for third with those two guys, and your Devontae Adams is doing something.
18, and he did that with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Correct. In 2020. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he didn't have Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Hate to say it.
He's kind of off the list now.
I mean, hate to say it. I want to say that. That's personalized slander. I hate to say it just because I got a little slander for the guy because, like I said, he only runs 3 routes. It's going to be Tyreek. I got to fall into what most of the media is saying. Like, just first game reaction, that 215. That's what was 215, 213, some crap. Like it. That was,
no. It was 11 catches, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and two of throws for 466.
Right. So yeah, it seems like Mike McDaniel, boy oh boy, oh Mike McDaniel is giving the riches, and I think Tyreek gonna be the one to do it, even though it's all speed. It's not.
All they need is a consistent running game. That's all they need.
Yeah, I think Raheem will give them enough.
Raheem's good. I mean, it's the same style of offense that Mike McDaniels and stuff like that had over there in San Francisco, so it's not anything out of the ordinary that Mostert hasn't done. They got Wilson Jr., too. He's also a former 49er, so they've got 2 guys that knows the offense. It's just a matter of staying healthy for their running game is what it is. Kind of the same problem they had over there in San Francisco. I don't know what it is about that offense, but the running backs can't stay fucking healthy in that offense. I don't know why. It just is what it is.
Jeff is one of my favorite guys. I love the way he runs. He runs hard. Yeah, that's true. True.
Speaking of Tua, Didn't Tua have his whole concussion series? I put it with an S at the end, ES at the end. Last year,
Yep.
same year with DeMar Hamlin, right?
Yeah.
Why?
Fuck.
Why did they not give a shit about Tua the way they gave a shit about DeMar? Granted, the man died, but I think Tua died too. Because if you go back to that Bills game, that boy probably died on that field or something close to it. Yo, because remember we was talking about it, we was like, yo, that shit didn't look good at all. Like, and it was against the fucking Bills. That shit crazy, dog.
Okay.
And they didn't give a fuck.
Here's the difference. Okay. What happened to Tua was essentially the equivalent of, somebody getting knocked out, like stiff as a board type of knocked out type of thing. What happened to DeMar Hamlin was he had no pulse, he was not breathing, he was actually dead. They had to do CPR on the field, and that completely different situation. So I think, but to kind of go with, I guess I didn't. I guess I didn't because I'm looking at it going, well, the severity of the two are, I guess, similar in some ways in matter of what it looked like to, rather to severity of what actually happened.
I mean, yes and no. In both situations, the boy could have died. Both people.
That is also true. That is also true.
And no matter what the severity level you put it at, them boys' life was in jeopardy, and they put Tua back on.
Especially, I was going to say, especially getting after a week and it happening again.
So even though I was making a joke, like the seriousness of it, they both could have died. That was the combining factor of what the joke was made off of.
Well, here's the thing. After the second time the Tua got hurt, the second concussion in 4 days, that's when people started to care in a way like, they were, people got fired, obviously, doctors and stuff like that got fired for that whole situation. But it was one of those moments that people started to, obviously, yes, everyone was pretty concerned for Tua's health. Everyone was, talking about he should possibly retire. Even we thought about that. I said that because a concussion and then getting hit again within 4 days. That's life-threatening shit. Like that's something where you start looking at the long-term effects of what could happen in this whole situation. That's when that turned into, I can, see the similarities and stuff there. Yeah. Because Tua could have lost his life with that type of trouble. And he came through it and he's back, he's playing, and he's playing at a fucking great level because Tua had a hell of a game, against the Chargers. But for the Dolphins, I think for them to have any sort of long-term success throughout this season, their defense needs to be a little bit better. Yeah, they're the offense can put up points in bunches, but the defense is going to need to get to a point where, you can't be putting up 30, letting other teams putting up 34 points on you. That can't be something that happens for you guys. So it's. I mean, I kind of agree with you on it being Tyreek Hill being the touchdowns and stuff because and to kind of piggyback off that, do you think that's something that could happen as soon as this year, considering what we've seen so far?
Well, he easily could have had more than just two against the Chargers on Sunday, if he wanted to. because there are times to where he was one block away or one cut away from taking more than just the two that he had to the house. Because I kept asking the question, how do you let him get so dang wide open? I mean, granted, 4.2, 4.3 speed is 4.2, 4.3 speed. He's not called the cheetah for nothing. I mean, it's just amazes me how they will double team him and he will still find ways to get open. And then, I mean, and we're forgetting that there's another guy that's also a dog in Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is no slouch by no means. Jalen Waddle can play,
He's just as
and he is
fast.
a quiet 4 catches for 78 yards. That too. I'm asking the question: is this the reincarnation of Mark Clayton and Mark Duper with Waddle and Tyreek Hill? Only difference is Hill and Waddle were way faster than Clayton and Duper. And Clayton and Duper were pretty doggone fast for what was considered fast back in the 80s because, back then it was still primarily run, not pass until, Dan Marino came on the scene in 83 and, of course, throwing for 48 TDs in 84. So, I mean, it's possible.
If we're going to talk, possibilities, and people can call this overreaction, all they want. But let's call it an overreaction. From what we've seen so far, or at least from what I have seen so far, this has the potential to surpass any offense that the Dolphins organization, at least, has ever seen. It's going to surpass Dan Marino numbers. It's going to surpass all the, the undefeated team. But it's going to surpass anything and everything offensive records wise for the Dolphins this year. Because and let's look at it this way: for Tyreek Hill to be able to get that, that 23 number, basically he would just have to average 2 touchdowns a game, and maybe 1 or 2 of those games have 1 or 2 extra touchdowns. So all he has to do is 2 touchdowns per game. No, actually, no, because I'm thinking about 20 games being total for the Super Bowl. So what? 17 games, right? 17 games. He has to average probably 2.5 to 3 touchdowns in order to get that number. And is it doable? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not looking at the Dolphin, schedule right now, but to be honest, I don't see why not. I don't see why Tyreek Hill couldn't average 2.5 to 3 touchdowns a game. So it's definitely possible. So we'll see. But I agree with Kay. If it's going to be anybody, it's probably going to be Hill, just based on right now. There's nobody faster. There's nobody faster until there's somebody on defense that can keep up with Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's all he's going to need right now. As much as Kay said, he's a 3-route guy, and but if that speed is killing it to where that's all he needs, then hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Can you reincarnate Deion Sanders? He's probably the only one that probably can keep up with them.
Probably not at this point. Not that I've seen at least yet. Shiloh's good, but he's not as fast as his dad. So, but I mean, we'll see. The Jaguars and the Colts took it on. The Colts showed some early signs of what could possibly be the future look there in Indy. Anthony Richardson in a loss, had a pretty decent debut. But in the end, the Jaguars took it 31-21. Trevor Lawrence had 241, 2 touchdowns. ETN had that one, big run towards the end of the game. He had 77 yards and a touchdown. Calvin Ridley popped off for 101 and the touchdown in his return from his year-long suspension for gambling that he served last season. So the Jaguars starting off slow in the first half, but definitely picked it up and took it to him in the second half. But again, there was a little whispers of fear, there for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and definitely one of those moral victories where the fans in Indy can kind of look at what happened and go, okay, well, maybe we can build off of it. So we'll see what happens there. Saints, again, they lost 16-15 to the Titans. Niners, just there's not really much we can to talk about it because what we saw was, what kind of we knew what was going to happen. McCaffrey went for 152 and a touchdown. Brock Purdy is, proving that, it's not a fluke. He looked very comfortable, very, fluid. Ayuk had 129 yards. Yeah. He had 129 yards, 8 receptions, and 2 touchdowns, that being Brandon Ayuk. Pickett, had, a decent game in the beginning, and then 2 interceptions and stuff like that later. 232, touchdown, 2 interceptions to end the game. But there was a point in time where Pickett got hit, and this was something that people were pointing out, and I don't know how much of it is true or what happened, but people were thinking that Kenny Pickett was actually playing the game with a minor concussion because there was a hit that he took where his head just shit whipped off the ground, and he looked a little, that people were thinking that he looked a little off, but nobody took him to the sideline, didn't go to concussion protocol, none of that. So they were thinking that, and maybe this is just Pittsburgh Steelers fans making excuses for why they got their asses handed to them at their home turf. But seeing the hit was kind of like, oh, maybe there was a little bit, guy a little woozy, making some, little clouded decisions and stuff like that. There's a good possibility of that. But,
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is, an ass whooping.
Well, I'll just say this. Who really impressed me the most was second-year man from USC, Drake Jackson, with 3 sacks. If he can continue to do that, he might be the guy that can complement one Nicholas Jonathan Bosa on the other side of the edge to where you might not have to go get another edge rusher. If he can complement Bosa on one side of the edge with Bosa on the other, because you know who Bosa is. Bosa's that guy. Bosa is him. If Drake Jackson can complement, it could be a very long season for opposing offenses in the NFL with those two coming at you with the way Drake Jackson was very influential on Sunday, having himself a fantastic game and showing why he was a very high draft pick for the Niners to complement Bosa on that defensive end.
Then so it's just, the big win, there for the 49ers. They're number 1 on a lot of people's power rankings, much to the behest of one Country K. Arizona and the Washington football team, because again they're going to be changing their name again soon. Commanders football team, Washington, that team went and narrowly escaped against a Arizona Cardinals team who, by all intents and purposes, are dog shit.
For lack of a better term.
Yeah, to be honest, that might be the best term. It's just dog shit football. That that game was not pleasing to the eye whatsoever. Did not pass the smell test at all. But the Cardinals at one point were looking like they forgot that they were trying to tank for the number 1 spot to get Caleb Williams or one of these, or Shedeur Sanders or one of these top quarterbacks coming out. And
that's if Caleb decides to come out, because he said if the team is not where he wants to go, he will go back to USC for 1 more year.
He has
Pops
something.
came out and said that. So, I mean, that was just a bad game. 20-16. Texans and Ravens. Ravens just dog walk. Didn't even need Mark Andrews, to be honest. But
I feel bad for J.K. Dobbins. I mean,
they
I like his
lost.
talent. I mean, I like them at Ohio
That's-
State. It's just the kid can't stay healthy. It sucks.
This is the third year in a row now. Beginning of a torn Achilles. Just like we talked about with Aaron Rodgers earlier. Just
Which again, that was on turf, not grass. Because
and we'll
Baltimore
get
does
into
play on
that
turf.
conversation. We'll get into that conversation in a quick bit. The Packers took on the Bears, handled them 38-20. Jordan Love making his debut as the starter for the Cheeseheads, and he didn't do too bad. 245 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He took care of the ball. Jordan Love did all right. Justin Fields was the leading rusher of the game with 9 carries and 59 yards. Andrew Jones, or Aaron Jones, sorry, Andrew Jones.
In this concentration, and basically just was to make the catch. So, game, but he was very, very impressive. And the Packers do what they normally do. They still are the Bears' daddy. Doesn't matter who's the quarterback.
Yep. And in Chicago, too. So that's just
In
is what it is.
Chicago.
The Raiders took on the Broncos, and the Broncos just shit the bed in more ways than one. Garoppolo marched them down essentially in that last bit. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Got one of the first downs on the third down play, with his legs. That kind of fired up the Raiders team and eked out a win 17-16, against the Broncos team that everybody was, thinking under the helm of Sean Payton would be something, ridiculous. And it is, just not in a good way. And then we have so you're in and out, Dub. The Eagles and the Patriots. Tom Brady, they waived the wait period for him. He is now in the Patriots Hall of Fame, which is obviously well deserved. And what did the Eagles do? They spoiled yet another celebration for Tom Brady, going in and taking the win 25-20 against New England. Mac Jones had 316 for 3 touchdowns and an interception. A.J. Brown led everybody with 7 receptions and 79 yards. Not eye-popping, but the Eagles are not so much of a very much air-it-out style team. So that it's kind of what we expected out of them. The Rams beat the tar out of the Seahawks, which is not what I expected was going to happen. 30-13. 30-13 in Seattle. That was pretty interesting. Matthew Stafford had 334 yards and no touchdowns. Kenneth Walker led the rushing with 64 yards, and Atwell led all receivers with 119 yards. So that was one of those I was like, that's very interesting how that might turn out when it comes to. Go ahead.
I think what was more shocking about that game is the fact that the Rams defense shut out the Seahawks in the second half 23-0, because keep in mind, the Seahawks had a 13-7 lead at the half. And whatever Sean McVay and Raheem Morris said in the locker room, apparently it worked because 23-0 second half, especially in Seattle where we know it's very tough to play. But you also have to think about it from this perspective, the fact that in the Pete Carroll era, for whatever reason, the Rams have always given the Seahawks fit, be it in Seattle or be it in St. Louis and now in Inglewood. But for whatever reason, the Rams just seem to be a bad matchup for Seattle. So while you don't expect much from the Rams because of everything that they lost, it's still impressive they went into Seattle and basically clamped them down in the second half in Seattle, which is, very rare to see because normally the Seahawks have a high winning percentage at home, and you normally expect the Seahawks to normally pull off something like that, especially when they have a lead at halftime.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have the brutal ass kicking of Sunday Night Football. The Cowboys went into MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants, and just the defense. And I say the defense because Dak Prescott didn't do shit. Tony
You didn't
Pollard's
have to.
touchdowns came from short yardage. He had 70. I mean, Tony Pollard was the offense essentially, for them. And then again, the defense was just ridiculous. CD Lamb had 77 yards the entire time, but Dak Prescott had 143 yards the entire. Was it just over 50% of his throws, or just under 50% of his throws?
A little bit under.
Like
I mean, he was 13 to 24.
Yeah. See, that to me is not, especially against a team who is as God. Look, what I saw from the Giants, uh, uh, Danny Dimes fucking stole $40 million a year from the New York Giants. Because from what I saw here, holy shit, dude! Like, I would not be surprised if the Giants went. If they keep playing like this, and I had some people ask me, "Do you think the Cowboys are that good, or the Giants are just that bad?" And it's a little bit of a mixture of a both, because I think the Dallas Cowboys defense is that good, but I do believe that the New York Giants are that fucking bad. They are absolutely terrible. That contract's going to kill them even worse. They're dog shit with, a $40 million a year quarterback. Just imagine now the hole that's going to put them in. And Saquon Barkley already wanting out. And Kay, I wanted to ask you this. Does it make sense for a team like the Ravens, who just lost J.K. Dobbins to, Achilles injury? Would it make sense for a team like the Ravens to start making a call to the Giants to see about acquiring somebody like Saquon Barkley?
So as far as the Giants, yeah, they bad too. They bad. They bad as a whole too. I mean, Saquon, didn't he get smacked and fumbled the ball and gave up a touchdown?
I think, yeah,
Or
he
he
did have
smacked
one in.
some shit. Like he
Yeah,
had some
I mean the offensive line was
he
like
got rocked.
bad.
I mean, nah, that was a pass. That was a dunk to him.
Oh,
He
that
got
was a
rocked.
pass?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he got past the ball.
Goddamn.
He got rocked. I seen the highlight of that shit. I ain't watching that trash ass shit. But Saquon got, if I'm not mistaken, he got dumped the ball and they got considered an interception to Daniel Jones because he got rocked and it got considered an interception when he picked the ball and it was a pick six. So that kind of falls under Daniel Jones, which is fucked up, but that's Saquon's fault completely. So to go to your question that you asked me, no. It doesn't make sense at all. Because
Why not?
you gotta think about what would they trade them for? It's like, yeah, the Ravens need a running back, but
I'm not really asking the question of what they're going to trade for him or anything else like that. I'm just wondering if it would make sense for the Ravens to go and get somebody like Saquon Barkley to help out Lamar Jackson.
Well, no, because if you do that, it's like, all right, you sign him. You go trade for him, then you got to sign him. You got to give him some money because he under a franchise tag right now, and he gonna need some money at the end of the year, right? So
Yep.
you gonna sign him quickly, and you just made your quarterback that won an MVP for y'all wait all this time. You be like, damn, like, all right, that's how you feel. Like you. I don't know how that will look, but personally, no, I don't think that will work at all. They need a running back, but I don't think Saquon the running back to go get. Saquon definitely needs to get out of there, but he not the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens spot for him.
I just figure with the run game that they have, that would be. I looked at it. Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson together would be a pretty nasty duo in the run game. Just how I see it, and especially with the passing game that they've kind of developed now. It's with Zay Flowers and Andrews. It looks good out there in Baltimore. I just figured it's a better situation for Saquon. It makes sense because the Ravens need help at running back because they just lost their starting running back. And I don't know. I don't know the draft capital situation for Baltimore, but I just figured that would be something that they could look at and find at least a little bit intriguing. And again, for something that I don't think they would have to give up a first. Hell, I don't even think they'd have to give up a second, to be honest with you. They might at the very most have to give up a third-round pick with Saquon Barkley. And I think that would be fine.
Third-round pick for Saquon Barkley. All right. So you saying Saquon Barkley is less of an asset than Christian McCaffrey? Y'all traded heaven and earth for that much.
No. Here's why I say this. Had this been during that, had this situation been during that time, especially what we gave up for Christian McCaffrey, I do think Saquon Barkley is worth that type of draft capital. I do think that. But what happened this offseason was essentially the NFL saying to all the running backs, we do not value you guys as much as we value the defensive ends, the linebackers, the quarterbacks especially. The running backs position is that a lot of teams look at it as that interchangeable position that they can be able to. They don't need to pay big money for that rookie contract and move on to the next one, because the running backs that have been coming out have also been sneaky good draft class. You got a lot of pretty decent running backs come out of college the last 5 years and stuff who have been doing well, but it's just the value of that position is not there. That's why I think that they might be able to get away with giving up a third round, maybe 2 third-round picks, 1 year and one after, or however, they might have to add a little bit extra, in the later rounds and stuff when it comes to draft picks. But I think the way they value them, they might be able to get away with that. They might be able to get away. They might be able to steal Saquon Barkley for a third-round pick and a bag of fucking balls. And I think the Giants would be dumb enough to do it. I think they'd be dumb enough as an organization to do it. Again, that has nothing to do with my belief of how much he's actually, probably worth the draft capital that he would
So
actually have to dish out.
they last trade they made, the last Giants trade they made was for Kadarius Toney. They traded him to the Chiefs. Was that a dumb trade? But it's still the same organization that's in office right now, right? Like, still the same house. So that's their last trade.
Was that a dumb trade? That he did. It looked like it was a dumb trade. But so far this year, with the drops and everything else like that, it's kind of looking like,
the assets they got from that trade as well. They used the piece from the trade. They end up getting Darren Waller.
Okay, they traded for a tight end that can't stay healthy. Okay, that's smart.
What do you mean? He was
Regardless of what we think about his athletic ability and how good he is as tight end, because he is that good at tight end, the guy can't stay healthy.
I wasn't saying that at all. You can't stay healthy due to overuse.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the case too.
Not necessarily.
Was the injury prone in Las Vegas because of overuse?
Yes. They had mid receivers, and he was the number one option, which is crazy because that's your tight end. Because your tight end shouldn't be used
That's
that
how it is in
much.
KC.
Well, didn't Kelsey get hurt because all these years been racking up and he's older now?
He didn't get hurt during a game, but
again,
practice.
whenever the pressure breaks the branch, doesn't matter when it happens, in the morning or night. No, it's breaking whenever.
Still got to get cleaned up with all the rest of the yard work.
Again, same smell. Like I'm saying, it's just overuse. And I guess they'll figure out a balance. You're pretty much in the same situation. You end up going to the Giants, you're pretty much in the same situation you was at the Raiders. To be all the way honest with you, because you really don't have
the number one option there.
Well, no, Saquon the number one option there. I'm just saying, like,
the
biggest issue, they don't have no receivers like that. Like you had Devontae at least over there in the Raiders that last year, but before that, it was you. You know what I'm saying? So
Don't really have much around.
Issues with them. But as far as Saquon, I don't think that's the case. He need to get traded there. I would say a guy. They need somebody that's a little tougher, a little grimier with the run. Like Saquon. Don't get me wrong. Saquon a powerhouse, he a beast, but I would rather see a guy like Jonathan Taylor over there in Baltimore.
Okay.
That's why I said Saquon really don't make sense. But Saquon, he'll fit, but you don't think he'll fit as good as Jonathan Taylor and the style of play he's had with geriatric Matt Ryan. So
what about well, in that case, I mean, when you put it that way, that actually does sound like a better option for Baltimore to actually make the phone call for Jonathan Taylor. So then who would Saquon fit for? Some people say Miami, which I kind of think about it going, it could be a spot.
Nah, he's a fit in Miami. He's Mike McDaniel's prototypical running back you want. Like he would use Saquon to his fullest extent without getting him hurt. He'll get him right to that break, but you got Freak and Jalen, so it's like I won't even need to run you like that. So like, holy crap, like he weird. So he be like, holy crap, man, like I can like run Saquon like 12% of the time, and then I can just let Tua do everything else like 74% of the time. And then that other percentage, I can just chill.
Lied to you. And then to cap it all off on Monday, Jets Bills. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers getting hurt the first 4 plays of the game. Um, Josh Allen played like shit, 3 interceptions. But overtime, Xavier Gibson, punt return, touchdown. Obviously, they missed a penalty on that and stuff too. So there's a whole lot of what ifs and shit that actually did happen. That's what was crazy about yesterday. But I mean, week 1 again as a whole definitely did not disappoint, and definitely looking forward to week 2. Gonna look into trying to get the uh, Thursday night game. We've got the Vikings against the Eagles in Philadelphia. Thursday night football. Eagles are 1-0. Vikings are 0-1. Philadelphia is favored -7, and the over/under is 49. Hey, what do you think? Easy?
Eagles by a lot. The Vikings let Baker slow ass run. Like, in comparison to fucking Jalen Hurts, Baker slow as fuck. In comparison to Jalen Hurts, so don't be wrong, Big Bay. You still the dog right now. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, until you show that you will throw a season away, you my dog. But like I said, in comparison to Jalen Hurts, you slow as a motherfucker. So if you let Baker do that, and he step you, and he call you a little ass boy, get your weight up, you let all that happen to you in your house, and then another play happen, and you ain't do shit. You ain't get a pick. You pick 6. You ain't smack nobody. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? You ain't forced a fumble. But you ain't do shit. And then you lost? All right, yeah, you gonna let Jalen Hurts run all over your motherfucking ass. That's what's about to happen. And I ain't even gonna talk about the rest of it because Jalen gonna do
it. I mean, nothing else really needs to be said about that. That's kind of the overall consensus of what exactly is going to happen, especially with the line, favored by a touchdown. Like that's, in Vegas odds, that's pretty confident in the victory of Eagles and Vikings. So another Thursday night game. Hopefully it's not a shit show because Thursday night games are usually shit shows. This last week wasn't too bad. So hopefully that'll stay consistent in that way. But the last weekend, San Jose State beat the absolute dog shit out of Cal Poly 59-3, or at the end of that game. Texas beat Alabama. Miami beat Texas A&M, which again, thank you, sir. Thank you for doing that. And I know Mad Six wasn't too happy about the Alabama loss, but again, people, you're gonna learn just like everybody else does. And this goes to all the other fans out there. When the Texas Longhorns comes to your stadium, look, do yourself a favor. I shouldn't even be telling you this because I actually love watching it happen. But this is the reason why the referees made it a penalty for you to do the horns down. It's not because they were thinking of it as a taunt. It's because they were trying to save the teams from themselves. Because here's what happens. When you get in front of the camera or in front of a player, in front of a coach, anybody, and you give the horns down gesture, what ends up happening, and it pretty much happens all the time, what ends up happening is you get your ass kicked. You fuck around and find out. Alabama learned the hard way. Their own coach tried to tell them last year when they barely won by 1 point against the backup quarterback. He told them last year not to do that shit because he knew what was going to happen. And what happened? That whole year comes full circle. I'm looking at the camera, ESPN's all looking around the whole stadium, and what do I see? A bunch of fucking sibling marrying dickhead Bama bums putting the goddamn horns out, talking a bunch of shit. And guess what happened? You got your ass whooped. And now the Texas Longhorns are the number 4 team in the fucking country. You want to talk about is Texas back? I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it. I want to wait until that national championship trophy is held above the head to be able to say the words. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. So just a warning for any other schools out there who think about getting cute and putting the horns down, thinking you're funny, thinking you're talking smart, intelligent shit. You're not. You're just as dumb as anybody who would put a tattoo of their team winning the Super Bowl that year. Just don't do it. Learn from your mistakes. Tuscaloosa, you're better than that. Your coach tried to warn you, and you did it anyway. So, hey, maybe he needs to tell you again, or maybe you guys need to just go cry home to your sisters before you guys go ahead and kiss your cousins goodnight. So, with all that being said, college football was great. NFL was great, starting off with a great bang. So from here on out, I mean, this is how it's going to be, guys. We're going to be here talking a whole bunch of football, having a bunch of guests as we possibly can. We're going to be trying to cover more and more college games, high school games. We got a lot of things coming up, so be on the lookout for that. Jaffo Army, we thank you guys so fucking much. Since the very beginning, you guys have been with us, hanging out, talking shit, having a whole lot of fun. And we appreciate every single fucking one of you guys for that fact. So for myself, JP, for the 610 Beast from the Southeast, Mr. Country K, for Dove and Missile, appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on the show as well, talking a little bit. We will see you guys on Friday. Yeah. See you guys on Friday. Deuces.